So, hey,
How
I-
are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm like, man, close on the camera.
It's all good. We're close to your beautiful face, so that's awesome. How are you doing? I was just giving people background on the brand and everything, but how are you doing?
I'm good. I am
Good.
good.
You're good.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm so excited for people to hear about your journey and to hear about everything. For those of you who don't know, Lacresia and I actually met through a business coaching group that we were a part of. And I was so inspired by her story, her authenticity, her transparency. And I just think she was the perfect guest to be the first on this series. So I'm so excited for my audience and just people from your audience too who don't really know the full story to learn more about you and your journey. So I'm excited.
Oh, thank you, Diane. Thank you so much, of course, for having me here on your live. I'm actually excited to share my story. I'm sorry, the dog is like barking crazy. Of course, he was, was so at first. Of course, he would do that when I get on the live. Can you give me 1 second? I'm gonna have him close the door.
No problem. I think we all understand now, working from home, the dogs, the babies, everything will get in the way sometimes. So
Yeah.
I understand. Everyone else understands.
Thank you. Look, I had to yell up the stuff to my daughter, like, close the door.
Oh, thank you. Okay. I think I could save the live afterwards, Lakita. Do I have to record it? No. I can save the live afterwards. Someone just
Okay.
asked me if I'm recording this. So yeah, the live will be available after we're finished. It'll be on my page. So yeah, no problem. Sorry, I'm like reading the comments and doing it, but yeah. So how have you been? I feel like it's been a while since we've seen each other, since we've communicated. So what's been going on in your life before we dive right in?
Yes, it has. And it's so good to see you. I always love seeing like my I3 people, it was so much love, so much just being in a room with like other entrepreneurs that were really doing it and going somewhere. So I definitely want to say I miss you. I'm
Yeah.
happy that we this live together. And since we kind of like went out, not went separate ways, but kind of ended the inner circle and kind of started doing our own thing. Um,
Mhm.
the last time I remember I did the Dr. Darius asked me to speak for the Thrive conference.
Event. Mm-hmm.
After that, I was so ready. Like, I'm like, okay, this is it. Like, I need to go for it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, life. And, I ended up, being finished with I3. And I think that I started dealing with a lot of things when it came to like my children's father, just being like a single mom. And I was already dealing with that, but I don't know, it was like a season for me. But I really think that season was a healing season, right? Like in a sense of God was in it with me, but it was things that I never confronted or just it was almost like God was moving me in this direction
Mm-hmm.
of not going to allow certain stuff like this to happen. And it's like, wow, you put your foot down, you set certain boundaries. It's a lot that comes with it. And it's also like a healing journey. And I remember the therapy session and telling my therapist, like, I am claiming this. This is my healing season. Like all this stuff coming up every time I keep trying to move forward. Like this is my healing season because I'm so tired of feeling like I'm in like a cycle or something. Like I feel like I'm at the top. And then on top of that, it's like after I feel like I'm on the top, it's like I come back down. And I'm just like, why do I keep feeling like I can't? I'm successful, but I can't get ahead, if that makes sense. And
Mm-hmm.
I remember just stepping back from business and taking a break and really praying to God, like, God, this is my season. Like this is the season where I'm confronting stuff. It might hurt. I might be crying all the time. but I'm healing. I'm healing from family. Like I'm healing from, like grieving my mom and stuff, like
Mhm.
healing from things that was maybe resolved before she passed, dealing with being a single mom, renewing my mind. So I really stepped back from business a little bit, and I chose to do some healing, because what I realized is that no matter how successful that I am, no matter where I can go, if I don't deal with that healing, it's never going to matter. It's always going to come up.
That's it's true. Because wherever you go, there you are. Wherever you go, the highest highs, the lowest lows, there you are.
Say is at the time, right? So
Mhm.
even no
That's
matter how successful you are, if you don't deal with some deep things, it's going to follow you wherever you go. And I have yet to get to the place that I want to be, right? And
mhm.
so, like, but might as well work on it here. That way, when God take you to them places,
Yeah.
you already did that. So, really just truly been in a healing, on a healing journey for myself, trying to, just really connect with God, like just deepen in my relationship with Him, and doing business bit by bit, not feeling like it's a race, but just what I can. But when I come back, it's over.
It's so Oh, I love that so much. And I know we just jumped right into like catching up, but for your business, let me tell people your bio so they know who you are. Absolutely, because this is a powerful woman before us. So, Lacresia is a woman of God first. She is an empowerment coach, a transformational speaker, author, mentor of young teenage girls. And she shares her journey through guiding and redirecting girls who are experiencing emotional pain. Her purpose is to help girls who feel lost and overwhelmed or broken to journey from a place of hopelessness to a place of healing so that they can unearth their purpose, unlock new levels, and unleash their authentic voice. And a lot of what you said is actually what you help people do. So it's great to hear it because people know that you've gone through it. Like, this is not something you're just playing around with. This is your life. And you're sharing your life and your experiences and what you've overcome to help others, which is why we go through what we go through anyway. It's so that our lives can testify, our lives can help someone else go further faster or heal quicker, heal with support. And I think all of that's necessary and all of that is so key. So yes, that is Lacresia Williams, coach Lacresia. And what she was speaking about before with I3, which was the name of our coaching business coaching group, she gave a powerful keynote speech in front of our group during one of our in-person meetups, and it was so powerful. And I think I had a similar opportunity, I think the year before or earlier that year. And you think, oh, after this everything's going to start flowing, everything's going to start moving, my business is going to take off, because you feel like you hit that moment when you feel like, okay, this is what it looks like to be successful. So everything falls into line here. But similar to you, I had to become the person who was on that stage, who was not worthy of the calling, but who could handle the responsibility of the calling. And a lot of that comes through healing. A lot of that comes through confronting parts of yourself that you wanted to bury in the deepest corner of the room. All along with those secrets and everything. You were gonna say?
Yeah, I was going to say, it's so funny because right before I joined your live, I said, wow, it's so funny how the very thing that you are fearful of, that is your calling. The very thing that you, like you said, you want to hide in a corner sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
your fears sometimes is really like your purpose and your calling.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like you from it.
You can't. You can't. And it's so true, because I really want us to have a conversation about this, because I think that's that's the whole idea behind the brand that I created, Confrontation of Calling, because it is confronting. It's like jarring to see a version of yourself you never imagined yourself being. And all the emotions that come up, all the things that take place as you're choosing whether or not to say yes to this new version of yourself.
Yeah.
And I want us to be as authentic and transparent, because I know people watching this, people who will come across this live sooner or later, they're on that journey too. And I think they can learn so much just through hearing our stories. So for you, absolutely go a little more in depth. Tell me about a situation where you were confronted with this new version of yourself, and you were on the fence. Do I say yes? Do I say no? Do I say yes? Do I say no? And I think you said yes. So when you said yes, all the emotions that took place. So we'll start
It's
from there.
thing, right? I can really say one when I wake up every day, right? Sometimes we have the option, like, I just want to live a normal life, right? But what does a normal life look like? Like, I want to get up. God, sometimes I don't want you to tap at me saying, I need you to do this. Go follow your dream. Go trust me to go. And that's just really being authentic, right? Because when it comes to trusting God, and with Him giving you a purpose, that means you got to do it scared. And so when you do that, it's like sometimes it's very scary, like I was saying, and a lot of times you can't do anything but trust God in those moments. And so I even always give an example of, like, I'm a speaker, right? I know that I'm good at speaking, but something in me gives me so much anxiety when it comes to speaking. I'm talking about anxiety to the point where my chest be hurting, feeling like that I'm about to have a whole, like, pass out. Like, I can't do this, right? To the point where I do give myself affirmations. Like, I have to pray to God. I have to pull some scriptures. Like, I really have to remind myself of what God said, because anytime when I go speak, anytime when I do something that's like I'm in charge, or like I'm leading something, I don't know why it gives me so much anxiety. And I feel like sometimes maybe I don't always trust myself. But the whole thing is I need to be trusting God because He equipped me with it. And so I'm really trying to understand the root, right? And I remember Dr. D, our mentor, stated, you're not ineffective, you're just inexperienced. And so I, for a long, like, ever since he said that, like, I held on to that, right? I'm like, okay, I'm not ineffective, I'm just inexperienced. But the more, how we become experienced is continuing to do the things that we are fearful of. And so I try to put myself in position, even though I'm scared, to do the very things that I'm fearful of. And it's funny because once I'm done, I'm like, that was it. Like, I would definitely say, first, I just always feel like, I'm confronted when God has already given me my purpose and I really want to hide. But also going forth with those things that I'm very much afraid of, because I understand that that's my calling. And I can't say, no, God, I'm not doing it. I can't do that.
So, yeah, that's so good, because it is a daily choice. Like every day you have to choose to say yes to obeying what the Lord's telling you to do. So I think when we talk about this, like one moment of confronting our call, I think we think of it like one big moment. This is the life shifting yes. But then you have to choose to say yes again and again and again and again.
Yeah.
So that's
It's,
so good that you brought that up. Hmm.
yeah, especially when people, it's so funny because people see stuff in you that you might not see in yourself. And it's like people be counting on you. Like when they know that you're gifted, they're counting on you. Like, it's so many times I have, like, went somewhere, or it was, I supported somebody else and I'm going and I'm just in the background, and people be tapping me like, girl, you got something to say on this? Just say something. I'm like, no, girl, I don't want to.
uh, but they see it. They see
Yeah. And people, when they see it, it's like they see the light, right? And a lot of times, because people be like, how you be scared? you sound like you so good at this. Like, you so good at get up there and presenting and speaking. I'm
And
like,
you
baby, you
are.
ain't know out. Like, I'm sweating. Okay. But at Confrontation of Calling, you can't back down and say no, because if you're asking God to put you in position and to put you somewhere, then why would you say no to the
Mm.
places that He is, telling you to experience? That means that you're not trusting that He's going to get you through that.
Yee. That's
Yeah.
so good. And I think a level of the anxiety that we feel, a level of that unworthiness, I think
Hmm.
it's necessary to keep us humble and humble before the Lord, knowing that we need Him in everything that we do. So I think there is that necessary point of like, okay, I know I can do this, but I still need the strength of the Lord
Yeah.
to fulfill what I'm doing. So what you said before about like reminding yourself of what He said about you and not what you're feeling in the moment,
Yeah.
reminding yourself of Bible scripture, which is the truth. Like
Yeah.
keeping yourself grounded in the truth will help you say yes even when you're scared.
Yeah.
And I'm
Hmm.
always so fascinated with how many times God tells people in the Bible, be bold, be courageous, be strong. Like
Yeah.
the courageousness just means saying yes
Yeah.
anyway, even despite what you're feeling. It's
Yeah.
just saying yes and
Yeah.
doing what He said.
Yeah.
It's nothing big. It's just saying yes. And I feel like when we hear the word be brave, we think we have to conquer the world, but it's like, nah, being brave is just being obedient to the Lord and trusting that he will follow you and give you everything that you need.
Yes. I deeply also feel
Mm-hmm.
that sometimes um, we will continue to have like certain anxieties because God knows that we need Him,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel if He took that away, then we don't need Him in that area anymore. And so I
Mm-hmm.
feel like He keeps things there because He know that we need Him, and it's Him who can pull
Mm-hmm.
us out of it. I
Exactly.
also feel that a part of that is sometimes with us is being humble, right? Versus, saying, oh no, I got this, right? And I think one of the good things about it is when you're anxious about things, and when you're called to trust God in these things, it's also humbling as well, because it's still you saying, even though if I was confident, and I am confident, it just I still have certain anxieties. I still feel like that is God saying, you need me, like I got you. You got this,
Mm-hmm.
right? But I'm still humble enough to know that I need God in this moment.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's being confident in what the Lord has gifted you in, but
Yeah.
still knowing that you need Him. Like
Yes.
don't forget the giver as you're
Yeah.
using the gifts. All right.
Yes.
So that's so good. So good. So you spoke about like the emotions that come up when you're confronting the call. What I've been having conversations with a lot of people about who are going through similar journeys of like saying yes and choosing to say yes every day
Mhm.
are the people and the relationships that kind of shift or
Mhm.
kind of get, you know, left along the way as we're saying yes. So
Mhm.
have you experienced people shifts in your relational space, shift in your friendships, even your family,
Mhm.
as you're choosing to obey the Lord?
Mhm.
And what has that looked like
That is such a good
for
question. So deep.
you?
Um, absolutely, I have. I think because I kind of been in the space of like an entrepreneur for some years now. A lot of it happened more so in the beginning of me coming in and trying to figure out what it is that I was doing and my calling and everything. And I felt like as soon as I started growing, especially spiritually, and asking God to guide me, He started connecting me with more like-minded people. So when you get connected with more like-minded people, those other people that's not for you start to fade. It's hurtful. It's hurtful because the very people that you be thinking, oh my God, we're going to be friends together, we're going to be this, God showed you, right? Like he showed you
Mm-mm.
and gone, but also God will replace and he will overflow in that area. And so one of the things I feel as well is that when that start happening and when you start stepping into your calling and moving on one level, like when you're kind of not at the lower, but God always do things as a way, like when you can handle it, to a sense of before you get to the top. I feel like God starts doing things while you're still in the beginning, right? So that way, when you get to the top, it's not even going to phase you anymore. You already going to know. Okay, I already know this year. I already know what you, right? So
Yeah.
I just personally feel like in the like I I first became an entrepreneur in 2020. I always knew I had like gifts. I just didn't know like what my gifts were, in the sense of I thought that you had to be doing something tangible in order to have like a gift. So when I think of like a gift, I'm like, oh well, I don't do hair, I don't do nails, like I'm thinking like that, like gifts, right? Not realizing that my gift was speaking. My gift was my story, right? Like my gift was coaching. Like all along, I had these things, but they weren't the way that I was thinking. And I always found myself like coaching people and talking people, and people always gravitated to me to like, I gotta talk to you. I swear, strangers and everything. And I
Mm-hmm.
end up, people would be like, God must have knew I needed to meet you. Right? So when I realized that that was a gift, you have people that really don't always support you in that. Like, oh girl, I mean, you always like that. I mean, you always talking to people, but not recognizing that you are gifted. And sometimes it's like when you realize people like that, it's like, okay, I need to not associate myself with that. And if you stay in it long enough, God will remove it because they not meant to go where you going. Um, I can say a specific time though, is when, so I'm a supervisor in the federal government as well. Like that's my job. And I had a young lady who it's funny because it wasn't until I got into leadership, I feel like, people was researching me or trying to figure out who I was, right? So I had my employees talking like, well, she got a book out, and her book is about when she used to be an exotic dancer, right? And so the whole purpose of my book is not to tell my story as an exotic dancer. My book was to let people know that it's freedom on the other side, and that this is my purpose. Like, I'm just showing you what it looks like from behind the scenes to step out of something like that, and how God has blessed me tremendously. People won't look at that. All they will see is, oh, what, she a leader in the government, oh, and she used to dance, and people wanted to take that, and it was a lot of chatter. Like my employees talking, so I'm running meetings and stuff, and it's like you got to in the back of your mind, like, dang, my employees, over here talking, right? And so it's like now, what I can say that keeps me grounded is I knew that God equipped me, so I know that my purpose is for a bigger, it's for something bigger, right? So it's always going to be people that's talking and people that try to take your story and do something with it. But I gotta trust God that if He sent me out here to do it, yeah, it's gonna be people, but it's a lot of times that He always said that I will shut them people up. Like I will keep you going, and I will take care of those people. And so, yeah, it was one of the things I had. One of my employees, I mean, man, really went around telling everybody that, oh, she was a dancer, and I got spreading rumors, and I'm human, right? And so it bothered me. I'm not gonna lie, because I don't want to be in my environment where I work and people are spreading, stuff about me, stating that I used to dance. Now, why I'm not afraid of my truth. I'm not afraid of my truth, but I also try to keep it separate. But what I also know is that when God called me to do what I did, to write a book, to be out here coaching, to be out here talking to the teenagers and all of that, He equipped me, so I had to deal with what comes with it, but He also got my back in it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
And that speaks to the power of owning your stories. Like all the things that because the tendency is to hide those dark parts,
Mm-hmm.
but then when things come to light, you don't have authority over it. You don't have the power over it. So you writing the truth about what you've experienced and what you've gone through actually gave you back your authority over your story. So no one could ever use it against you.
Yes.
You already put it out there. It's like, duh, I wrote a book about it. But
No, and oh, I'm sorry. Didn't want to
no,
cut you
no,
off.
no, go. Absolutely.
That's the thing when you are authentic in yourself and you know your story. I know my flaws. I know, I put everything out there. When you put everything out there, you can't say nothing about me that I didn't put out there.
That's it. It's like you're telling me something I already put out there.
Right. Congratulations, you done told my story again, right?
But you did speak about that dynamic of people just learning about your story who had a perception of you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I want you to talk a little bit about how you kind of coped with being in a work environment and hearing these rumors. I mean, hearing people spread your story, but of course maliciously and with ill intent.
Yeah.
Like, what did you do to keep yourself grounded as a leader, especially who has to lead these employees?
Yeah.
Like, what did you do to stay grounded?
Honestly, kept showing up as myself. Kept showing up as myself. Um, what I had to realize is you cannot give people ammunition, right? Like if I would have came in there and going off like, oh my God, why would you? It was no point, right? Like it's no point to confront that because, like I said, I know that my purpose is bigger. The people that God sent you to lead, they're always going to see the bigger picture, right? It was even I had employees though that pulled me up and said, you know what? It's somebody that keep on, talking about you and saying stuff. But she was in tears. She said, I know I'm not supposed to, but I started following you on social media. And she said, your story delivered so much. And she was like, the people that are not for you, that choose to take your story, she said, I don't know what to do. Like I don't know what to tell them. But it's people like me that's following you. And I can't stop looking at stuff that you posting because you're so inspiring. And so I honestly feel like a lot of times when things come, like the young lady that was talking about me and putting my story out there, God will also send you people to remind you why you on that path, what you're doing. So a lot of times, if we start focusing on the people that's not for us, then we forgetting about the people that's for us. And so I personally feel like focus on who's for you. Focus on why you're doing that. Let God deal with those people that choose to badmouth you, say things about you, try to trash you, because they're not going to rise over you. They're not.
They're not.
So yeah, so you let God work. You continue to be you. You let the chips fall, and a lot of times people come back to you and apologize or either come back to you needing something. And when
Mm-hmm.
those happen, because it happens often, and that's why you got to be careful what you try to do purposely to people, how you try to trash people, because it'll come around, and them people will have to come right back to you and need you or even apologize. So
Mm-hmm.
I just had to be myself and let God work in that
That's
earth.
so good. So what I hear from your story actually with the Lord prompting you to write that book,
Hmm.
telling your story and getting the authority over it,
Yeah.
it puts you in such a perfect place to be so secure in your identity. And I think
Hmm.
that's part of confronting your calling that
Hmm.
we don't speak about. There has to be a healing that takes place. There has to be a security in who you are in Him, so
Yeah.
that when people do start trying to
Hmm.
use your story against you or trying to say, "Oh, how she got here so fast," or
Yeah.
"How she doing all these things," it's
Hmm.
like, yeah, because I'm a child of God and I know
Yeah.
that He's doing this for me.
Even.
So I actually don't have to respond to you because I know He'll take care of it. And there's
Yeah.
a freedom in that. There's a
Hmm.
freedom. and
It
and
is.
people, and I'm sure people on your job saw how you reacted. You didn't retaliate in any way. And I think that even, I don't want to say sold your story even more, but I think it just affirmed who you are and your character. So
Mm-hmm.
it was easy for that coworker to go online and be like, I'm gonna follow her because if she's strong enough to tell this story and to double down on it, stand up 10 toes down on it in her workplace, of
Yeah.
course I'm gonna follow her and be inspired.
Yeah.
And just what the enemy tried to do to wreck your reputation, other people are
Yeah.
getting delivered. Other people are finding out about you.
Exactly. And you know, it's such a blessing. But what I will definitely say is it takes time to, because like I said, we're all human, right? And we can always say, you know, back in the day they used to say sticks and stones may break my bones and words and stuff. Okay,
What hurt?
words do hurt. They do. And you know, when people are going around talking about you, you know, it's definitely a thing of it is freedom and not reacting. Like, you know what, I'm gonna let people say what they're gonna say, I'm gonna let people do what they do. But that's a thing of like, I need God because it's so many things I wanna say. It's so
Mm-hmm.
many things, right? Like that I could say. But on top of that, we human, right? And sometimes people in leadership don't feel like you're about that life right now. Granted, um,
She said,
you know, before
whatever.
you know saved, and you know,
Absolutely.
right? Or I'll probably pull the person up or say something. No, I got something to say. But when you let go handle your battles, it really is freedom and power. Like I ain't even gonna say anything or go there as bad as I want to. But if I did, what would be the point? What am I doing? Just letting them know that I know what you said? It does
Mm-hmm.
nothing because let people be who they are. And I'll continue being who I am. And one of the things I always say is that now when I start changing my character, I'm more so mad at myself. I'm not mad at them. Um, one of the things that Dr. D said that I was watching church one time, and I never forget he said this. He said that if the wolf howls at the moon, everyone would look at the wolf as like they're doing something normal. But if the moon howled back at the wolf, people
Mm.
would begin at the moon. Like,
What
what in the
you
world? So which one are you gonna be? The
mm.
or the moon, right? Like because if the moon howled back, everybody would be looking at that person crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not in my character to respond to everything. It's not, it's more power in just being silent, honestly. No, you don't let people
Honestly.
over you, but I don't have to confront you. I don't have to say what I know. I don't have to say, oh, I know you've been talking about me. I show up as myself and I'll let that speak for me.
Mm-hmm. And that's
So
it. And that's it.
yeah.
The story
Yeah.
that will speak for itself. You don't have to waste any energy in the wrong places.
Yeah.
Because what you also said before is that you're focused on the bigger why. You know the purpose God has over your
Yeah.
life. So you don't even have the time or the energy
Yeah.
to waste on people who don't understand.
And on top of that, I don't want God to get me because because you to take matters into your own hands and you took God's hands off of it. So
Mm-hmm.
my own hands, then that mean that he's going to get me because I told you don't do nothing about it that I got it. So that means that I got it.
You got it. You trying to
I
do it your shit.
because I got it. No, God, that's not what I'm saying.
No,
So,
not at all. You can have, you
right?
can have.
Yeah.
No, that's so good. That's so good. And I think it's important for people to hear. These are some of the things that can happen when you choose to say yes.
Yeah.
There is that healing part that takes place where you get secure in your identity, and then you will be challenged by things in your past, and you have to choose to stay focused on the greater why. And
Yes.
so important as people are like making the decision on whether or not they want to become better and become who God created them to be. It's like you have to remember the bigger why. You have to remember the truth. And
Yeah.
you said something about being surrounded by people who can remind you of um, who God created you to be. I want you to talk a little bit more about that, because before we spoke about losing people, but God even placed the right people to remind you who you are in Him.
Yes, yes, he did. I feel like when God started exposing me to people that were like-minded in the entrepreneur space, but they wasn't just like-minded. They were children of God as well. Like they were um very much like they poured into me. Um, they prayed for me. Um, you know, they were telling me like things of like, you're anointed, like you deserve to be here. Like those, when people speak stuff over you, because I truly feel like God speaks those things over you, but he also sends people as well, as reminders. And so the more where I feel like that I separated from people that wasn't for me, the more God was placing people in my circle that constantly like gave me what I needed. Just maybe some validation, right? Maybe um just just because it's times where I felt that I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I'm called to do this. I don't know, how I feel. And I feel like that every time I wanted to fall back, um, God sent me somebody to remind me of my purpose, remind me of my worth. Um, Opportunities come and I'm reminded, like when I do lives like this or when I do speaking engagements, and people like, oh my God, you're so powerful. Like, what? It's so, it's like the more I do things and I'm surrounded with people where I feel like God is really in the room. Um, I personally feel like that it's a constant reminder of why I do the things that I do. And so I'm just so appreciative that God constantly sends me people as reminders. He constantly has me do the work on myself. But when, of course, we all deal with certain things, like, I deal with childhood issues. I can deal with lack of confidence, in certain areas. And sometimes it's like I don't know if I feel worthy enough to do this. And um it's like now I'm so clear, like on the people I can call. Like I said, maybe it might be a person that I'm not thinking of, and God send them right into my space to remind me. So yeah, yeah,
And that's so good, because what happens if you didn't let those people go that the Lord told you to let go? Now they're occupying spaces where
hmm,
these new people that the Lord's trying to send you to empower you and remind you of who He says you are. Now
yeah,
those spaces are filled by the wrong people.
yes,
So even us being courageous enough to let people go
hmm,
is actually serving us moving forward, because there are people coming behind them
yeah.
to help propel you forward.
That's
Almost a
so
tongue
good.
there. But yeah.
That's so
So let me say one thing, because I
good.
feel like there are people who are listening who have felt that tug.
Yeah.
Um, I've been friends with this person for 10 years,
Hmm.
and we say, you know, we're ride or die, we'll see each other to the end, but you feel that tug from the Lord of like, hey, the season of this friendship, the season of this relationship is over. And I just
Mm,
want to encourage you to let you know that the Lord will not leave you without help. So this person that you feel like fills this role of friend and confidant and support, just trust that your obedience to let go, hey, that your obedience to let go of this person will be rewarded by multiple people coming afterwards to push you forward,
yes.
because you don't know how much that person is holding you back. And it's no indictment of
That,
that person. It's
that is
no
so good.
indictment of that person. It's just you're no longer there. And if they haven't chosen to grow with you, it's okay to let them go.
Yeah.
It's okay to let them go. So I just wanted to press there, because I feel like I've just been hearing a lot more conversations about like friendships and boundaries and friendships. and just shifting in fresh friendships. So you absolutely touching on that point of like the Lord sent so many people to remind you, and you did the work yourself. So I want you to go a little bit deeper on what that work looked like for you, because I think a lot of us are scared to do the work because it forces self-reflection. It forces us to admit where we got things wrong,
Mm-hmm.
where we should have said no but said yes, or should have said yes and said no. So what did that inner work look like for you?
I'm still doing
Oh
the inner
yeah,
work.
absolutely.
It's never ending, right? So, what that inner work looks like for me is one really growing spiritually. I remember definitely a lot of onions because Lord, I was like,
Sparkles like.
Lord, so much. What you just said was so true. Um, one, like I said, definitely getting right, and getting closer to God. I felt like I always had a good relationship with God. Ever since I like turned my life over to Him and was serious about my walk, but I realized that it was like, okay, it's not enough. I need more, right? So what does that look like? It's like reading the Bible and understanding the Bible and praying and, really relying on God and looking at scriptures and learning the scriptures. And I think that's one. Two, I would say if I'm chosen to lead young ladies, and even women, I have to be the person that I would want. I would have to be the person, um, that I would want these young ladies to follow. And so I cannot say that I'm out here leading young girls and women if I'm doing things that doesn't align.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's kind of being like, I guess, a hypocrite in a sense. I don't know. But I can't ask people to follow me and not do the work on myself in order for people to follow me. And so it's like, okay, what does that look like? Anything that if I'm teaching people about value, if I'm teaching people about purpose, then that means, okay, well, Krisha, what are you doing to value yourself, right? Like if you're teaching these girls that, what does that look like? Right? That means that
Mm-hmm.
I can't be out here with a bunch of men, right? That means that I can't be going out anymore and partying and drinking all the time, right? Granted, do I still go out? Absolutely, right? However, it's a difference, right? I can't go out and get drunk no more, right? And
Mm-hmm.
drive home to the point where I don't even know how I got there. It don't align anymore, right? So I personally feel like the things, and trust me, and I want to say I'm not judging anybody that do it. Absolutely not. I just personally feel like that I'm in a different place, and now I know what I'm doing. Like I know, I'm in control of the things that I choose to do, and so if I say that I'm leading and I value myself and I want people to follow me, I have to show up as that woman.
Mm-hmm.
I have a daughter, right? If I'm out here doing certain things and I want my daughter to grow up to be an intelligent, beautiful young lady that value herself, that means that I can't be out here doing crazy stuff either.
Mm-hmm. You have to
So,
lead by example.
yeah. And so the work, honestly, though, is constantly being done, even in the moments when you do want to do it. Because it is times that I might want to go out and have a few more drinks than I would like, right? And I'm just being honest, right? It is
Absolutely.
like, I'm gonna just be 100% transparent, right? I mentioned earlier that, okay, what's wrong? I'm sorry, my son came downstairs.
No problem. See, this is my good. She's a mother.
Sorry for being almost done. um, it's times where, like, I used to be an exotic dancer, right? I still here and there like, well, I wonder what's going on in the clubs, right? Not that I want to go in there to do anything, but like, that's a cool, I can go down there and hang out. Like, what's going on in there? And it's like, no, you don't, like, you don't need to be in that setting anymore. Like,
Mm-hmm.
from out of there. So I personally feel like if I'm leading girls and I'm being an example for females that, okay, Levi. All right. If I'm being an example for females that are still exotic dancers, what would I look like going to the club and tossing girls money?
Mm,
You
mm-hmm.
know, so it's like, even too, when we think about that healing process and doing the work, I remember an old therapist that I had, he said that the behaviors don't go away. It's just what you do to modify them. You
Mm-hmm.
know, so it's like, it don't mean that I never want to go to a strip club ever again. It just means that beyond that point,
Mm-hmm.
you can't,
Mm.
throwing money at these girls to support them. Look like, and you
It's
gotta hold out.
true.
People be like, aren't you telling girls that they shouldn't be doing?
And
But
there
she,
she is right there. And I appreciate this transparency because it doesn't happen overnight. You don't
no.
just become this person
Mm-hmm.
and, oh, I'm living in my calling and everything's easy flowing, because something from your past will always try to remind you something. When you think about it, if it's behaviors that you've done years and years on end, you have to train yourself, you have to renew your mind, you have to renew your heart in
Yeah.
partnership the Lord, which is a big part.
Yeah.
You talking about reading your Bible more and praying more, like
Mm-hmm.
God does a lot of that heart rework and mind renewing, and it's the choosing to know more about Him so that you know more about yourself,
Yes.
and that you know more about what He said about you. So now I don't have to go to those places anymore, because more
Yeah.
than likely I was going to those places looking for something, or trying to fill a void, or
Yeah.
trying to experience a joy that I can really find in Him.
Yes.
I can experience a peace that I can really find in Him.
Mm-hmm.
So it happens day by day, and sometimes you say yes and sometimes you say no, and it's true and it's honest.
It
But
is, and it's what you do when those tests come,
mhm,
and you have to go back to, like, okay, I choose to value myself. Like, I trust God in this.
mhm,
So
mhm.
I'm past that.
That's so it's so good, because I feel like our whole conversation, the through line has been trusting God.
Yeah.
Trusting God.
Yeah.
Trusting God in what He says about me, trusting God in my yes, trusting God that He'll support me and give me everything that I need to fulfill my purpose, trusting
Mm-hmm.
God that I don't have to go back to who I used to be,
Yes.
like trusting Him and what He said about me. And that's the biggest thing. And I feel like the more we'll have these conversations, the more I'll talk to some more guests. I think that'll be the through line of, like, confronting your call is really trusting what God says about
And
you and who He created you to be. And
yes, I love Spark at L Jules comments.
Sparkle, that's my friend.
Oh, Spark, like I said, Spark is Sparkle, duh, right? Sparkle Jewel, right. I'm loving your comments, and it was another young lady. She was definitely showing
Yeah.
love.
I think that was Tahira. Yeah, because this is why I want us to share our stories and share our journeys, because so many people can learn from it. So many people resonate with it, whether they've gone through it, about to go through it, currently going through it. There's so
Hmm.
much healing in hearing people be authentic and transparent.
Yeah.
And I feel like we're done with the sugarcoating. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're gonna say yes and everything's gonna be okay. No, it takes work. It
Mm-hmm.
takes healing. It takes forgiveness. We love you
Mm-hmm.
too, Circle.
Yeah.
it, takes, it takes all of that. It takes trusting God and
Mm-hmm.
trusting that He will be with you in the process. And
Yeah.
I feel like once we have all those things, it's like it's easier to say yes. It won't be easy, but it's easier. And that's why I think, we've chosen to go into this entrepreneur space as coaches, as speakers, as authors, to be very authentic with our story and to help people confront their callings, to help people live authentically as they are, as they have been created to be,
Yes.
and forgetting about all the other things that try to hold them back. including the people, including the past. So I'm not going to hold you on too long. I feel like this has been a wonderful conversation. My last question will be, absolutely, I'm so grateful. I'm gonna do my final close because I just thought of this last question.
Okay.
What advice would you give to people who are hesitant about saying yes to this calling?
So people that are hesitant, it's normal to be hesitant. It's normal that when God give you a gift, we not prepared to take it on and to do what needs to be done. That's normal, right? But what I do know is that God equipped us. What are you doing? Put that. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, y'all. Put that.
It's all right.
That damn thing.
Y'all, this is real life. You got to handle all the things.
Like,
Entrepreneur, leader in the government, mother. This is truth. This is life. Such is life. Such is life.
put it down. Third
Tell them
time.
join the
Put it down.
conversation.
Um, I would definitely say I'm so sorry, guys.
No, it's all
My
right.
hook damn no mind. So I would definitely say though, but trust God in it, right? Because if we do not do it, that's something that we'll always have to live with if we do not do it. Because one thing about a purpose, one thing that God, when He tells you to do something, it prompts you to do it, and you can't sleep. I remember when I saw this post, and it spoke so much to me. Like I really felt like convicted. It was like, if you don't carry out your calling, God will make you miserable. I believe that 100%. Because every time I tried to run from my calling, every time I was like, no, making excuses, I'm not going to do this. Maybe I won't take that opportunity. Maybe. I was like, okay, one, how can you trust God? You're asking Him for the opportunities. He's putting you in position. And as soon as you're ready to step back, that's crazy, right? And then on top of that, it's like, I just have to trust God. Like if He gave it to me and He's trusting me with it, then He got my back to carry it through. So I personally feel a lot of time it's the mental piece, but it's also normal to feel that way too. We can stall, we can be like, I don't know. But if God equipped you with it, then He got your back in it. And I need to speak to my own self. I'm listening to myself say it because there's still a lot of times where I'm still stalling with stuff. And so I personally feel like that if you don't confront your calling, God will make you miserable. He'll push you until the point that you do it and you have no choice but to trust Him. And I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I'm afraid, right? Because I feel like I can be busy, right? Like I work. I gotta be, a leader in my position, and it's a lot of responsibility. I'm responsible for people, in the workplace, and I'm responsible for my children, and I'm responsible, and I feel like that my business can fall to the back burner. And I'll be like, "But please don't make an example out of me by taking my job because I won't do what you say to do." I swear,
Listen.
like, God, are you going to take something until you show me that I need to put my business first? And so I'll be like, let me do something with my business because I don't want God to make an example and be like, all right, you ain't got nothing, but the 1X.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so good. The part about like you being unsettled,
Mm-hmm.
like you being completely unsatisfied, like that was my journey. Like I was in jobs, I was in positions and just completely unsatisfied,
Mm-hmm.
making the money that they say we supposed to make,
Mm-hmm.
do things they say we supposed to be doing, traveling, and still unsatisfied. And it's because there's that deep
Yeah.
there's that deep purpose in you that if
Yeah.
it doesn't get fulfilled first by the Lord and then what He's telling you to do,
Yes.
you'll try to fill it with everything else and be
Thank.
wholly satisfied.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So I
Now.
think at that point,
Mm-hmm.
it's so good for you to say, one, it's normal, but you
Mm-hmm.
have to say yes anyway because your greatest fulfillment first
Mm-hmm.
comes from the Lord and
Yeah.
then comes with everything that He tells you to do.
Yeah.
And I won't equate fulfillment with every day being happy. Because
Yeah.
like you said,
Mm-hmm.
some days are easier than
Yeah.
others. Some days it's like I don't even have the time.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like I have
Yeah.
capacity. Like,
Yep.
how do I do all these things? And the Lord is like, listen to me, come deeper, talk to me, seek me deeper so I can show you what it looks like. So I show
Yeah.
you first that you need me. That's
Yeah.
that's really what I mean.
God also tells us, it was the scripture that I read, and I do not know it by heart. But
Mm-hmm.
that's myself because I'm still
Mm-hmm.
getting close to God and learning my scriptures. So I want to be people that I can roll it off my tongue, right? But in my head, I kind of know it, right? And it just talks
Mm-hmm.
about anointing. Like God gave us the anointing, and He already has us when He gave us the anointing to go out and do what He said that we should be doing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Mm-hmm.
like we're already anointed to do it. What
We're
are we
all
waiting
good. And this one, first knowing that the Lord is with you as you choose to say yes to Him,
for? Mm-hmm.
and that the grace, the anointing, the ability to do the things that He's called you to do already is with you. Like
Yeah.
those two things, the God of the universe is with me, one on one, and then He's given me everything that I need.
Yep.
It's like, why am I fearful? And
Exactly.
it's a normal thing that pops up, but you have to say yes anyway. You have to believe the truth, which is Him.
Yes. And you know what? I just want to say this one last thing because it just popped in my head. You know, a lot of times, that's why I personally feel like transparency and authenticity is so key because when you see entrepreneurs out here, it just looks like they did it overnight, right? And they're not sharing. That's mine. Get out of there, please. Um, is you're an entrepreneur, like they don't talk about the real feelings that come behind when you're scared because God gave you something. Yes. Right. Give me a few minutes. I'm almost done. Don't open it, please. Can I have it? No, I said we'll talk about it when I'm done. Thank you. Um,
Good parent.
um, so it's just like, you know, a lot of people don't talk about that, and that's why the transparency piece is so important because, you know, real feelings are that God equipped me with something, but I'm afraid to do it. I'm afraid to step out. God, okay, you told me quit my job, but I don't have the clients to go with it. What are we gonna do, right?
What are we gonna do?
You know, so yeah, I truly just feel like that's why I try to be as transparent as possible because people need to know that they're not alone in this.
Mm-hmm. And you're not. You're not. You're looking at two people who
Mm-hmm.
step into the deep.
Yeah.
Jesus. I'm one of the people who the Lord told me to quit my job and fully be an entrepreneur. And I'm like, the math's not mathing. This is not the right time. And God is like, I didn't ask you if you thought it was the right time.
Yeah.
It's the right time because I said it. And trusting Him. I trust who He is. I trust what He says. And that's why I chose to say yes. And some
Yeah.
days I just got to remind myself, like, Diane,
Yeah.
the Lord is really with you. And some days it works and some days it doesn't. I'm going to be completely transparent. And that's when you need your community to remind you.
Absolutely.
That's when you need to be like, today I don't
I
have it. Today I don't
felt.
have it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it's so important to have like coaches in your life, community in your life.
Mm-hmm.
It's so important to have like-minded individuals who are going to pick you up on the days when you don't have it. Like
Yeah.
the Bible says the Lord puts two to carry the load, right? Two together to carry the burden.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason the Lord has us in community, especially in America when it's very self-centered and it's all about, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this.
Mm-hmm.
No, we need each other. We
Yeah.
need each other. We need each other's stories. We need the right people in our life who are going to support us when we feel low.
Yeah.
Even
Absolutely.
when we said yes to the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Even when we said yes and we think it's all going to work out. It's like, yeah, it'll work out, but it'll be some highs and some lows.
Yeah.
And we just
Mm-hmm.
got to process.
Yeah.
So I thank you so much for being authentic. I expected nothing less and completely transparent. And I know so many people were inspired by your story. I know so many people were transformed by your story. And for anyone who's listening and came in after, the replay will be posted on my page. So you're able to look back, hear what we discussed. I think it's a necessary conversation that needs to happen. And yeah, stay tuned till the next one. Thank you so much, Lacresia. You are amazing. And I am in awe of your authenticity and your transparency. And it's inspiring to me to be fully transparent and fully authentic in the spaces where the Lord has put me in. So I just want to encourage you to keep being exactly who you are, because you were uniquely crafted. You were uniquely crafted on purpose to do all the things that the Lord called you to do.
Girl,
I'm sorry. I just like because you gave of yourself today, so I wanted to pour back into you. Um, Even when it gets hard, yeah. Even when it gets hard. Oh no, no, I'm gonna okay. It's all right, guys. Even when it gets hard, thank you for saying yes. Thank you for saying yes.
you are so welcome. And I actually want to say thank you. Thank you as well. Um, Even though we have been in an environment, it's like we never really got to have like a one-on-one.
Mm-hmm.
This was everything. And I don't even, what you did for me. Because every time I'm reminded of my purpose, and like I said, these young ladies, they was giving me life. And it just
Mm-hmm.
always remind me like, you need to go for it and stop taking breaks and stop second guessing yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And so it just really also reminds me of my purpose. And I just want to say thank you. This
Absolutely.
conversation amazing. I truly enjoyed it, and I'm going to go back and watch the replay.
Me too. Like, yes. So that's it for this iteration of Confrontation of Calling, the conversation, where we're authentic and transparent of what it looks like to accept your call. And I'll see you guys next week Monday for another guest.
One thing I
Yeah.
just want to leave my
Oh yeah.
in case. My website is lacresia.com. For anyone that might want to reach out and just connect with me, they can go on my website and send me a message, send me a DM, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. So I just wanted to leave that there for anybody that just wanted to. So.
Absolutely. I'll put Lacresia's website and my website, Confrontation of Calling, in the description. So once I post the replay, you'll be able to click the link and head on over to see how you could connect with us. So thank you guys. I'll see y'all next week.
Have
Peace.
a good one, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.